Doesn't mean a thing. This diamond ring doesn't shine for me anymore, and this diamond ring doesn't mean what it did before. So if you got someone whose love is true, let it shine for you. This stone is genuine, like love should be. And if your baby's truer than my baby was to me, this diamond ring can be something beautiful, and this diamond ring can be dreams that are coming true. And then your heart won't have to break like mine did, if there's love behind it. This diamond ring can be something beautiful, and this diamond ring can be dreams that are coming true. And then your heart won't have to break like mine did, if there's love behind it. Doesn't shine for me anymore, and this diamond ring doesn't mean what it did before. So if you got someone whose love is true, let it shine for you.
This is Charles Rosenay. We've got someone who's just on another stratosphere. A man who had hit after hit after hit in the 60s, still rock and rolling, still going strong. I want to introduce everyone in our listening area and our viewing area and our Monkee fans universe to the one and only Gary Lewis from Gary Lewis and the Playboys. Hey, buddy.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
You look like you're ready to jump on stage now and perform.
Oh, I always am. It's a wonderful thing. I'm blessed. I'm blessed with health and everything.
We always start by asking what part of the world we're talking to you in.
I'm in Rochester, New York.
I would have guessed Vegas or LA or Beverly Hills. Rochester, yeah?
Well, I grew up in Los Angeles.
Right.
And then I met my wife in Rochester, New York, and I just stayed. It's a great place.
Cool. And so when you do gigs, you're flying out of your local airport and going all over the world and doing the show.
Yeah.
And you never really stop touring. You've been touring literally since you were a kid and since you had your hits, right?
The only time I stopped touring was 2 years in the Army.
Right, when you're in the service, right?
Yeah.
So we're bringing in our friend all the way from Australia. Gary, I'd like to introduce you to the infamous podcasting king. This is Plastic EP.
All right. Hi there. EP.
How are you, Gary? I just want to say from Australia, right? During the 60s, Gary Lewis and the Playboys, right? One of the greatest acts to ever come out of America and worldwide, and I mean that. And this show to me is an honor and a privilege to be here to tell you how great you were and you are. I mean,
thank
to
you.
be able to have so many hit songs worldwide, all over the place, including the big one, This Diamond Ring, especially here in Australia growing up, it's just like an unbelievable feat. And I also want to tell you, a lot of people don't know about the fantastic movie in 1966 called Out of Sight. I suggest everybody find that movie, right? That had all the greatest acts in it. Freddie and the Dreamers, had the Turtles, had Gary Lewis and the Playboys opening up the film. And I mean, it's just like the Knickerbockers. I interviewed someone from the Knickerbockers and we spoke about it, right, as well. I mean, the Astronauts. I mean, what a movie. to be there at the forefront in 1966, I take my hat off to you. It's just amazing.
They call it Malibu Run on Highway 101. It's our place in the sun. We call it Malibu Run. Dancing in the sand down on the beach. The girls are out of sight but not out of reach. Smell the salty air. See bikinis everywhere. Girls come every day, you'll find them there. They call it Malibu Run on Highway 101. It's our place in the sun. We call it Malibu Run, 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 Malibu Run. Word is getting out all over town. Cars are coming in from miles around. The stalkers look just fine. The big boss coupes can really whine. Just be sure that you don't jump the line. Down in Malibu Run on Highway 101. It's our place in the sun. We call it Malibu Run, 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 Malibu Run, 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 Malibu Run.
I want to talk about some of the TV appearances because you kind of followed in the footsteps of the Beatles and appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show.
And here I was being on it with my first record. So that was a high point. That was a tremendous high point in my early career. And the second high point was actually meeting the Beatles.
Well, I want to hear about that, of course, because that's one of the biggest things we want to touch on. But you were on Ed Sullivan more than once. What was with the One Last Kiss song where a girl comes up and kisses you? What was that all about?
Well,
And by the way, you sound great on that song. Your vocal is hot stuff on that vocal.
thanks. In summertime of 1966, I did the play Bye Bye Birdie in Kansas City for a week. And so the Ed Sullivan Show thought it would be a good idea for me to take a song out of there where the girl kisses you goodbye because I was going in the Army.
Right.
And you know, they just had a contest, and the girl that was there, she won, gave me a kiss, and that was that. You know,
It was definitely unique, and it was a great. How many songs did you do all together on Ed Sullivan?
we did 6. We broke 6 singles on the Ed Sullivan Show, and they all went top 10.
Now, doing Shindig and Hullabaloo, I mean, as I said, that's American. How iconic can you get than that? To be on these shows is what makes you. Because if you're on the shows, that platform gets you out there nationally everywhere. And I'm just saying, those shows were so, how can I say, so highly produced. And to be on it, and I've seen all the film clips. You got 2 bass drums. I think that was even before the Who.
Yeah, I think so. Well, yeah, we did all those shows. Shindig was big, Hullabaloo was really big, and then we did every local rock and roll show around the country, whatever city we played. Yeah, and just keeping the name out there and the songs and everything. It was good. I had a good manager. It was my mom.
You had a great manager, your mom. And I don't know if our listeners know, but you kind of had a decent drum teacher in a guy named Hal Blaine
Well, Hal Blaine,
and
yeah.
Buddy Rich.
Now that's really a story because I was only 5 years old when I met him, and I thought he was just a friend of my dad's that dropped over to say hi and everything.
Yeah.
And that was true. He did, but he would always take me to another room where the drums were set up. He said, "Hey, kid, let me show you some stuff." So that happened for 7 years. And then I finally found out this friend of my dad's was Buddy Rich. So I had 7 years of lessons from him.
Everybody loves a clown, so why don't you? Everybody laughs at the things that I say and do. They all laugh when they see me coming, but you don't laugh, you just go home running. Everybody loves a clown, so why can't you? A clown has feelings too. I joke around at a party when you are there. If you don't laugh, you don't look, you just don't care. If you wonder why this clown is crying, look a little closer inside, I'm dying. It's not easy to be in love, you see, when you're a clown like me. I don't know how to say that I love you, 'cause you would smile and say, tell a joke or two. Yes, I'm a clown, but I don't wanna be. Why can't you see the other side of me? Guess I'll be the guy who plays the part of a clown with a broken heart. Dreaming of your love and not knowing where to start. Dreaming of your love and not knowing where to start. Dreaming of your love and not knowing where to start.
Snuff Garrett was the guy that put it all together with Leon Russell producing and playing. I mean, at that time, you don't get bigger than that. And that's why Snuff Garrett found the hits. But it was Leon Russell who put it together for you in the studio. I mean, that is amazing just there.
That is, he was amazing. I just love the way he thought. He came up with different ideas and played different instruments on everything we did. He just knew what he was doing. So did Snuffy Garrett.
Now Garrett passed on taking over the Monkees, or for some reason that didn't click. But my gosh, I mean, with you and with Del Shannon,
Yeah,
it's a who's who of great classic vintage rock and roll stars that he
right.
he brought to the surface.
I got kind of a monkey story if you want to hear it.
Yeah,
Well,
let's
yeah,
hear that.
sure.
Okay. In 1965, when Diamond Ring was #1 in the country, Screen Gems called me and said, we'd like to interview you for a part of one of the guys in this show we're doing called the Monkees. So I went down and I interviewed for it, talking to him, blah, 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 blah. And it looked like it was going to happen. But then at the last minute, it didn't happen. And I found out it was because I already had a hit record, and Screen Gems wanted to control everything. They didn't want me having hit records already and then being on the Monkees.
Wow, could have been a very different path.
Yeah, yeah. So, but you know, I did so many shows with Davy Jones, and he was a great guy. I really liked him. You know, nice guy.
I was going to save that to later, but share some memories of Davy with us.
Well, we did concerts together. We were both with an agent out of New York at one time, and she put together packages with me and Davy on them quite a bit.
Mhm.
Um, so, so Davy says, "Hey, you want to close?" I said, "No, no, you close. Go ahead." You know. So Davy closed, and we just had fun talking backstage. He was, I mean, very pleasurable guy to talk to, you know, and he was very he just knew a lot about this business, and I enjoyed talking to him. You know, we were like pretty close to the same level where we were, you know. And it was just enjoyable talking to him. He was down to earth. He wasn't conceited at all, you know. So I just
Well,
liked it.
don't forget, just like the Beatles, he preceded you on Ed Sullivan too, because he was in Oliver.
Oh
He played
yeah,
on
that's right.
that
That's
same
right.
show when the Beatles first appeared on Ed Sullivan.
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
loved the Beatles too. I mean, you guys could have probably done a set of Beatles together.
We should have, you know. Geez.
No,
But,
see, what Plastic EP doesn't know is in your set, always there's some Beatles songs. I remember back in the day, you had this drummer with the biggest afro. He had like this hair that was bigger than his bass drum. And,
yes,
and before you would come out for the second set, these guys would rock Beatles and Zeppelin, and the crowd is like, "What?"
I know. I know. You know, I mean, hey, if we wanted to continue playing, we had to play those clubs, you know, um, and do 4 sets a night and whatever, you know, because I didn't see the '60s coming back. So we did those songs. We wanted to appeal to people, so we did them, you know. I enjoyed it myself. Get a little harder than what I was used to. That was fun.
I was going to say, you also had Jim Keltner, and he played for the Monkees, right, on some of their songs. And not only that, he was in the Traveling Wilburys.
Well, right, right. And he was with me. He was my drummer all the way through 1966.
The Playboys were
Yeah.
literally, they were your buddies. They were schoolmates, they were neighbors, they were friends of yours, right?
The original Playboys?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I formed up the original Playboys when I was going to a theater arts college in California. And so, you know, I just searched out people that played various instruments. And you know, we built up a song list. We rehearsed for about a year. Well, not a year, 6 months, because then we got the gig at
Disney
Disneyland.
gig. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Which your mom helped get, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh, I, well, we had to go down an audition with 10 other bands,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
and I didn't want to use my last name because I didn't want any favoritism or anything like that. So we were just Gary and the Playboys at the time, and so we got picked, and we got the job for June, July, and August. We played in Tomorrowland. You know, it was wonderful. It was just it was the best. I mean, the crowds were amazing, and Snuffy Garrett saw us out there. He said, I'd like to talk to you about doing some recording. You guys sound good." And I mean, isn't that the way everybody wishes it would happen?
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
Exactly. But I just want to say, you had your own unique sound. That's what made it. But not only that, to prove it, you played
yeah.
on the hits, you played on the drums. They didn't change people or bring in the wrecking crew.
No,
So that's why you got to give
yeah.
credit where it's due.
I mean, myself and the Playboys played on all the tracks, you know, but we were still young and we didn't have solo ability really yet. So they would bring in a couple of the wrecking crew to do solos, or Leon Russell would do solos. He played so many instruments, it was amazing. So when everybody, I read things all over the place that says, yeah, the Wrecking Crew backed Gary Lewis all the time, No, they didn't.
Who was the Ron Hicklin guy who was supposed to be the voice of Gary Lewis, the voice of the Monkees, the voice of Ringo, Partridge Family? Who is this guy?
Well, that's Snuffy Garrett's idea. On this diamond ring, I sang harmony to myself.
Right.
And after that, Snuffy Garrett said, I don't like the same voice doing harmony. We got to have a different tone. I need a different tone. And of course, I let him do whatever he wanted, because what did I know? So we got Ron Hicklin. And while I was singing my lead, Ron Hicklin was about one step behind me, and he sang the harmonies with me at the same time that I was singing the lead.
Gotcha.
And and everybody thought he was just perfect, So he did all the recordings with me singing harmony.
It's like Lennon he needed to double track himself. He didn't like just the one voice, so maybe that made sense. Did Snuff Garrett, who hired Phil Spector at some point, was that any time during your time? Did he ever come in and produce you guys?
No, he didn't. I didn't want to be around Phil Spector. Leon Russell had a huge falling out with Phil Spector. I can't use the words that Leon said, but Leon walked into the session and he had been drinking a little bit, and Phil Spector said, "Do you know how to tell time?" And so Leon says to him, "Do you know the words?"
We can fill in the blanks.
So there's just all kinds of stories, millions of them.
Now, Plastic, were all the hits that were hits in America also hits in Australia?
I got to say, we got all the hits here, right? And the thing is, Gary had a run of hits, which is unbelievable, right? I'm just saying, This Diamond Ring, Count Me In, Save Your Heart for Me, Everybody Loves a Clown, which was huge here, right? Now, these are top 10 hits. And as I said, This Diamond Ring was the number one. And I mean, to break it, and I'm saying, Gary, on your own with your band, to me, that's the real story. I mean, you did it on your own at the right time. The timing to be there in the 60s put you not only as a great hit maker with a great band, with a great unique style, but also put you in pop culture. That's the great thing about it. And that's what I was saying about this movie, Out of Sight. I want everyone to see it because it's It's in the vein of the beach movies that came out. It's actually Americana and so iconic that you got to see the groove to get into the groove. You're either there or you're not, and you're there. And that's the highlight to me.
Great. Well, thanks for saying so.
If you need someone to count on, count me in. Someone you can rely on through thick and thin. When you start to count the ones that you might ever doubt, if you think of counting me, count me out. When you count the ones that want you, count me too. If I'm not first on your list, count me blue. Just be sure you count on me, and when the counting's through, count me madly in love with you. You're down, and all your other friends you've lost, count me found. Just be be sure you count on me when you're down and out. Count me in through thick and thin, or it don't count. When you count the ones that want you, count me too. And if I'm not first on your list, count me blue. Just be sure you count on me, and when the count's through, count me madly in love with you.
Were you in other movies too? Weren't you in a Dean Martin movie or something?
You're funny. You're very funny. No, I wasn't. The only movies I did were 3 cameo roles, quick, maybe 20 seconds in 3 of my dad's movies.
Uh-huh.
And when I had the group, we only did like beach movies, where we did a song in the movie.
Right.
Kids are dancing on the beach, and then they look out into the water and say, "Hey, look, there's Gary Lewis and the Playboys," and we're on platforms in the ocean.
Right. Makes sense to me.
I know. Oh, I thought it was great. I loved it.
You actually were played for me years ago in a New Haven club. We won't talk the name of it or anything like that, but I just going to remind you of 2 things. One, I had given you copies of my Beatles magazine, Good Day Sunshine, which you loved, and we talked Beatles. But the other thing is I mentioned a song and you rolled your eyes and walked away. So I'm going to mention the song again, and I want to see what the response is.
Okay.
And it's a song called Time Stands Still.
I'm still rolling my eyes.
He's still rolling his eyes.
You know something about that song. The song, you know how it started, nice and mellow.
It's a
and
pretty
calm
beautiful song, right?
and so Leon Russell stops me. He says, "This is going nowhere." He said, "Can you do something to just, what can you do to make it interesting?" And so I did my dad's voice. That's all I could think of. And now you realize everybody requests that song. Everybody. And I haven't done it since we recorded it.
It's got to probably play in the pre-show, whatever the the sound man plays.
Yeah. Well, that could be done. Yeah. But it was like before we started recording it, Leon Russell said, "Well, this is like a throwaway song, it's going to go on an album, blah, blah, But God, I couldn't believe how many people like that.
Gary, it was my mom's favorite song of yours.
Well, that's great. I mean, geez, maybe
I'll tell you what big fans we were in those days. We AM radio was, WABC, WMCA. I grew up in the Bronx.
Right.
And I just remember they were turning some of the songs in those days into commercials. And I said, "Ma, Dad, they should turn Everyone Loves a Clown into Everybody Likes Like, and so should you." Like was the competitor to 7-Up. And I was a little pisser. I didn't know where to promote it, but I thought that would have been the great commercial of that year.
Well, we did do Coke commercials, along the lines of "Everybody loves a clown. Everybody loves a Coke. So why can't you?" And then I talk in the middle of it. "Hey, hi, this is Gary. Can I come on over and we'll have a Coke?"
Amazing.
And the music was the "Everybody Loves a Clown" song.
I also want to say what makes you very unique, Gary, right? There's very few drummers that are lead singers, right? And this is before the Monkees. I just want to tell you, right? Dave Clark 5. That's the only one I can think of at that moment. So growing up here in Australia, I'm just saying, when you saw a lead singer playing drums and he's not right up front, that's what makes you so unique. Because at the time you did it, I doubt there was anybody in America that was making it that high in the charts that was a drummer and a singer. That's a very, unique point. And then I can appreciate the fact that after you had like 5 singles or something, then you came at the front with a guitar. I can appreciate that too.
Right, right. Yeah. And it wasn't hard doing it for me. It was just as natural as anything to sing and play drums.
And you were one of those who, if you learned the lyrics once, you had it forever, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but you know something, after about a year and a half of playing the drums, I kind of got tired of not, I had way too much energy to just sit down the whole show. So I thought, well, geez, I'll hire a drummer, and come out and play guitar. And it was wonderful seeing the people's faces again, and seeing them mouthing the words right along with me and all that. It was great. It was absolutely great.
You
So
shared.
that's when I hired Jim Keltner.
Oh yeah, yeah. You shared your time, with Davey. I want to ask you about meeting the Beatles, and I want to ask if you had any interactions with any of the other Monkees.
Yeah, some of those celebrity autograph shows, Peter Tork was at a few of them.
Right.
The Paradise Artist agents, they handled Mickey Dolenz, and occasionally he would come out on the Happy Together tour with us.
Right.
So, I talked to him a bunch and everything. And
I forgot that you were on the Happy Together tour. The Turtles, another great band that played their own instruments, that did all their own recordings, just like yours did, and and had a lot of, I don't want to say comedy, but certainly personality.
Yeah, personality, right. That's better than saying comedy. I like that.
Tell us about your Beatles encounter.
Well, I went to the Hollywood Bowl in 1965 to see them, and just parking and walking to the Hollywood Bowl, the frenzy in the air. Oh God, it was going right through everybody. It was the greatest feeling I ever felt. So anyway, we saw the show. And I had this diamond ring out at the time, and so somebody comes out after the show. They said, "Are you Gary Lewis?" Yes. Beatles would like to meet you.
Wow.
Come on backstage. So I'm walking backstage. I said, "Oh my God, am I going to faint? What's going to happen here?" So we walk in, and the second I walked in, McCartney looks at me and says, "Hey man, nice suit." And John Lennon comes over to me with a champagne bottle and pours a glass and hands it to me. He said, "Hi mate." I didn't meet Ringo or George. They were in another room changing or something. But I got a chance to meet Ringo and George later on that evening. And
Wow.
it's like it fulfilled a lifelong thing, but it wasn't for a lifetime. But what I felt for the Beatles, it felt like I've been waiting my whole life for this. And it was the greatest. And then I used to go out and see Ringo on his all-star band tours. And he was always nice to me. And Jim Keltner was playing with him a couple times. Saw Jim again. I stay in contact with Jim Keltner all the time now.
That's great. Did you miss out on the Monkey Mania stuff and the Beatles Pepper stuff because you were in the Army? Did that impact your
Oh yeah, I was overseas in South Korea.
Huh.
And I figured, hey, I'll just pick it up when I get back home, but when I got back home, there are these new people, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, The Doors. And I'm going, uh-oh. I said, we better get in there and record fast. So we had one more song before the 70s became very cruel to 60s artists. And it did.
Hmm.
You know, if I wanted to stay playing, I had to play clubs and do 4 and 5 sets a night and stuff. And I had to do that until 1984 when this agent called me and said, "Hey, man, the 60s are coming back." And I said, "Who is this?" You know, I was ready to just slam the phone down. He said, "No, really, 60s are coming back and I can book you 60 dates a year." I said, "Well, if you can do it, I'll play them," you know, and that's exactly what happened.
Wow. Was that wasn't David Fishoff, was it?
No, no, it
No.
was a guy out of Indianapolis.
Oh, gotcha.
And David Fishoff was in charge of the Happy Together tour in '85.
Right, right, right.
Right.
Which was the year before the Monkees reunited and then started doing all their shows. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were back doing the 60s stuff, right? Was there the temptation to call these old playboys and say, "Hey, playboys, you want to come out of Hugh Hefner's mansion and come out back on the road with me?" What was the
Well, I did that, but when I was in the army, I would write them and say, well, I get out in 8 months. You guys want to get back together and let's try it again? And they all wrote back and said, "Yep, we're ready. We're ready." But then by the time I got out of the army, they were already with other bands. You know, like my bass player, Carl Radel, he was with Derek and the Dominoes,
oh,
you know, when I got out of the service. So he was pretty well off. And then my guitar player was playing with Bonnie and Delaney.
oh yeah.
So, you know, and so that was the end of that, you know.
You're giving them credibility. You're not talking about just this runaway band that disappeared when they're playing, with the Claptons of the world. That's very impressive.
That's correct. You know, so he was a wonderful bass player. I mean, he was so good, so good. And he died in 1980.
Oh,
What a drag.
what was with this other Playboy band, John Fred Playboy band? Was that a conflict? Did people ever
No.
confuse the act?
No, because it was John Fred and the Playboy band, not the Playboys.
Right, right, right.
So, you know, no copyright on the English language, you know.
They had that song called Judy in the thing with glasses.
In disguise, yeah, Judy in disguise with glasses, and I did that on an album.
Gary, we got a lot of drummers that watch this show, right? And I'm really keen to find out when this Diamond Ring first came out. Tell everybody your drum setup and what brand it was, right? And what it was like to have a #1 hit.
It was a Ludwig set. It was a blue sparkle Ludwig set. And I had the double bass drum, but here's a secret. The only reason I had the double bass drum is because the logo wouldn't fit on one. I never played that second bass drum.
Great.
That's amazing because you had Gary Lewis on one bass drum and then you had and the Playboys on the second.
Right.
But no one would know the difference. So thank you for telling us that. Tell us about your snare and what sticks you were using, because that period there, it's you're there.
Yeah, at that time, there weren't separate. I mean, drummers didn't use a separate snare from somewhere else. Or if you bought a Ludwig set, you used the whole Ludwig set. And that's the way it was, you know. I was perfectly satisfied with what Ludwig had. That they were great drums, just great drums. My drummer now, he has an endorsement with DW drums, so we use those now. But he's got a different side tom and a different snare, and he pick and choose now.
How does it work when you go out with Mitch Ryder and you guys do a show? Does he use your band or does he have his own band?
No, my guys back him. We've done it so many times that they have his show down,
Oh,
you know. So I just give him a little extra for backing Mitch, you know.
it's great.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be great to see him again too. I mean, Mitch has been a friend of mine, God, since '67, I think.
I want to throw two things out for this diamond ring. It always still amazes me that it was written as a drifters type of an R&B song, and
Right.
that there's a cool version by a guy named Sammy Ambrose.
Jimmy Ambrose was the demo I listened to of Diamond
Yeah,
Ring.
and I get it. There's an R&B version, but just like there's a drifters version of This Magic Moment, and then there's the real version by Jay and the Americans.
Right.
There's This Diamond Ring, which is cool, and then there's the real version by the Chipmunks. I mean, by
I never heard that.
oh, come on, you've heard their version of
No,
it.
I did not, but that's great. I like knowing that.
So what was the Wendy Hill answer record to This Diamond Ring?
It was just an attempt for Snuffy to make more money.
Well, it's great because she sings "Gary, I Love You." It's such a wonderful song.
I know it went absolutely nowhere. It was bubbling under at about 12,000.
That's great.
In 2023, where we are now, when you look back on your fabulous, fantastic career, all these memories, and knowing that you live on YouTube forever, and you're on the internet forever, and your music is there forever for the world to enjoy. I mean, how satisfying is that now in this time?
Well, I feel absolutely, totally blessed. I am blessed, heavily blessed. I mean, I'm still healthy. I'm 78.
Wow.
And I still bounce around the stage having a great time. And yes, that's from up above, man.
You as a young man, right, is right up there with the Beatles. That's the amazing image that I get. And then you listen to the songs, how fantastic they are. So those songs are relevant now. That's what I'm trying to say. Those songs are as great now for the new generations coming up that want to know about Gary Lewis and the Playboys in the 60s. And it's happening right now because there's such a revolution on YouTube that what they're doing is they're making everything 4K. They're improving the picture and they're improving the sound.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'd be surprised how many young people are at our shows and they even know the words, and then the ones I talk to after the show, we come out and we sign things for people. And the young people, they say, oh man, your music is like classic. It's history. It's great. And we do those songs exactly the way people remember them. No new arrangements, no changing of any kind, because that's what they want to hear. They want to hear it like they remember it. And I do that for them, There was a period of time when I used to do original songs, and I realized that that's not what they're here for. They want to hear those things and bring back some of the memories they have. And that's what I do.
And when you do your shows and you come out and sign, do you still have merch? Do you have like CDs available for the fans?
Yeah. CDs and pictures. We never got into shirts because I don't know.
Too much to deal with.
It's too hard to travel with all that stuff.
Right.
It really is. You got to have suitcases full of shirts. I don't want to do it.
Have you ever come out to Australia?
No, as a matter of fact, nobody's ever asked us to go to Australia.
Well, Gary, you got to come out to Australia because, you know, you don't know what sort of a following you've got here, but I can tell you during your career, you're it. And I mean, I remember that as a young child where everybody listening to it, you went to record parties and your hits were playing on the AM radio and at parties. And I know how huge you were here in Australia. And you still got, I'm sure, lifelong fans here.
Make it happen.
I'd love to come there. Do you know somebody?
we got to try. We got to try and get you out here if we can.
Gary,
right.
I'm gonna throw two things at you, and one probably not fair. The first
All
one
right.
I'm gonna ask is your favorite Gary Lewis and the Playboy song, and I'm also going to ask you your favorite Monkees song.
Oh, okay. Well, my favorite Gary Lewis and Playboys song, I have two.
Okay.
This Diamond Ring, because that was the very first record and the only one that went to #1 in the US.
Yes.
And then my favorite song musically is She's Just My Style. We were going for a Beach Boy type thing with a lot of voices and rock and roll, and I just love that song. I end every show with Just My Style. It's a great song.
It's a great song. These are
Plus,
freaking pop classics. I mean, my brain explodes in all of them.
myself and Leon Russell wrote that one. Just My Style, and Everybody Loves a Clown.
And here on ABC, part of the second season. Let me escape, gentlemen, run to the top 10 board over here. I'll meet you later. Let's see, in the number 2 spot. No, we better start with number 10, as we normally do. The T-Bones, we have no matter what shape. The Statler Brothers, we heard from already. James Brown holds number 8. Herman's Hermits, number 7. The Vogues, number 6. The Righteous Brothers, number 5. Simon and Garfunkel, number 4. The Rolling Stones holding number 3 spot. The Beatles, number 2. And this is the number 1 song.
Now we just got to know your favorite Monkees song. I got to say that.
Oh, my favorite Monkey song, I believe, was 1967. Neil Diamond wrote it for them. I'm a Believer.
Great song, classic.
We do it.
You guys do that live?
We do.
Wow. And give us a taste. So you do your own stuff. You throw in a Monkey song. What Beatles songs do you do? A few of those?
Well, we do all our hits,
Mhm.
and we do a few album tunes that were original, but they were on albums, and people, they know them. So
Yes.
it's okay. And then we also do covers by people that I loved before I got into rock and roll. We do Freddie Cannon, Del Shannon, Beatles. I mean, Beatles were before me, yeah.
You scared me for a second. I thought you were going to say Jolson and Eddie Cantor. I got really scared there for a second.
Come on, my dad does that. He already did that. Yeah. My dad reminded me one time. He says, I had a gold record too, and I was kidding him. I said, yeah, but it was on a cylinder.
And for the folks who don't know, we're talking about Jerry Lee Lewis, the famous rock and roller. Gary, you are such a pleasure. I mean, God bless you. I hope you're with us for so many years, not only doing interviews, but I hope you'll be joining me on a celebrity signing show before too long. And all your concerts, please continue forever, because you bring such joy to everyone who sees you for God, over 5 decades. It's amazing.
And can I just say my website, GaryLewisandthePlayboys.com. All the dates are on there.
It's been a pleasure and an honor to do this interview with you, Gary. I just got to say, you just got no idea how great you are, embedded there in music culture forever. And I mean, that to me is what says it all. And to be, as I said, drummer, singer at that time was so unique. And you must have been one of the originators and one of the first.
Thank you very much.
Gary Lewis, we love you. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.